So this was prepared specially by our coordinator, Dr. Apurva Shah, and the committee members for training all the IQAC members as to how each college and each university should go about sending the applications for journal recognition. Okay. So UGC has established Consortium for Academic and Research Ethics, which is in short called CARE, for creating and maintenance of reference list of quality journals, and which is going to be called now CARE list. Earlier we used to call UGC list, but now it is known as CARE list. So all the quality journals which are accepted by UGC finally will be put in this CARE list. And many universities have become very particular about the publications in CARE listed journals only, for promotions and for API scores and all that. And some have some other ways also of scoring them. I'll tell you that later on. Then cell has been established for journals analysis by UGC at Savitribai Phule Pune University. So what happens that we we collect all the applications, we review it, we evaluate it. There's a lot of work which goes on recommending one journal. And finally, we send all the information and data to Pune University, and there also they have a committee which looks into all the recommendations that we have sent. Finally, they also have the authority, to delete some or exclude some and then send final list to UGC. The UGC also has a core committee there. They go through it and then the list is finalized. So UGC cell at SPPU shall function under the supervision of CARE Empowered Committee, which is formed by the UGC. Now, existing list of UGC approved journals will be replaced by CARE list, and that was in process started in 2019. And then complete list of CARE EC is also made by UGC. I will tell you what is it, because they have made 4 categories of the journals which will be considered for recognition. So one group of journals is called CARE members include statutory councils. Now there are many statutory councils like MCI and IARI and all, ICAR and all those, who are publishing their journals. So they are all council journals. Then academies are there. Then government bodies in social sciences, humanities, they also publish like social welfare and Kurukshetra, and these journals are published by government. So arts, fine arts academies, then science, medical, agriculture, engineering, and the Association of Indian Universities, AIU publications. All these are considered as CARE members. So first it was decided that whatever publications are published by these CARE members will be directly included in the CARE list. It was earlier decision, but then some changes came in later on, and we were told to evaluate these journals also. So the complete list of CARE members was also given by the UGC. Now, to facilitate submission of new journals, UGC has initiated 4 regional universities as CARE universities. So these 4 universities are working like nodal universities for those regions. So first one is Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, and it takes care of northern region. Then our Maharaja Sayajirao University of Vadodara, that covers the western region. Then University of Hyderabad, uh, covers southern region, and Tezpur University of Assam covers the eastern region. So under our region, that is western region, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda has been given the responsibility for western region, including following states and central territories. So Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Goa, Diu, Daman, and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. These all come under the West Zone. Now, what do we do? See, many friends have asked me that how do we send the application, or whom do we ask, where do we go for recognition of journal and all that. So for, as a reply to that question, I'm showing these following slides, where we are following some protocol. It is called Journal Analysis Protocol. So that has been set, revised. I mean, we have worked on that in the beginning quite a lot, and we have revised again and again, and we have come up with a common understanding for all the 4 zones. Now, so it consists of 3 sections. Basic information is part 1. Primary criteria that has to be fulfilled by the applicant is part 2, and secondary criteria is part 3. Now, part 1 details will be collected from the teacher who is recommending the journal. Now, as far as the recommending journal is concerned, 2-3 rules I must share with you. That it has been decided that only the teacher of the university or college can apply for recognition of the journal. Number 1, because earlier we got so many calls and requests from the publishers directly who are publishing journals. So that's why we had to, put one check there that it has to come through a teacher of the university or college. Then it has to go to the IQAC cell of the college or university. Now, if it is a college or small institute, then the IQAC of that college will receive from the teacher, and college IQAC will send the application to the university IQAC, and university IQAC cell will forward to the CARE University. So the process goes like, and that was just to check so that anybody and everybody cannot apply for the journal. So, and that has helped us also in processing. Then part 2 and 3 are to be used for internal analysis and assessment purpose. We all teachers have, whenever we have been publishing, it's not that we are not looking for the quality of the journals, status of the journal, how much well reputed the journal is, but still there were certain, I would say, loopholes, which kind of, rate the journal low, our publication lower, being in that journal. So these kind of protocols, really help us to come up with quality publication in a quality journal. So these are internal analysis points I'm showing you in the following slides. Then part 2 analysis is done by CARE University. So that means after the part 1 and part 2 is done, then we analyze that part 2 being CARE University, and the part 3 analysis will be done by UGC cell at SPPU. But we also kind of put our remarks on part 3 because, that helps. Otherwise, SPPU's work will be, unlimited. So this is just to help them. We are also doing part 3 analysis. So what is the protocol? So this analysis includes due diligence, verification process, and critical appraisal using sequential algorithmic elimination process and weightage based metrics on a scale of 10. So we finally give 10 scores to after evaluating them on these criteria. So the objective assessment of journal quality as per part 2 and part 3 of protocol is based on verification of information regarding history. History includes when it started, who started, or I mean, sometimes, the journal may be 40 years old, but it has hardly got 20 publications. So what is its history? When did it start and how regular it is? Then consistency. Then we all have experience and we all are aware of this fact that some journals, they may be good, but they are not regular. So how consistently the journal is being published, that also we'll look into. Then peer recognition, then market reputation, academic credentials of editors. This is very important, and friends, this has been the major reason for rejecting the applications, because the editor related so many issues cropped up that every time we had to concentrate more on this particular aspect. There are journals where there is only one editor, and it is kind of multidisciplinary journal, for example, multilingual journal, and there is only one editor. Now logically, this was being argued that how one person can be an expert in multidisciplines, how he can approve the articles. So if you have sections in the journal, there have to be sectional editors. Section editors, or means supposing our home science journal has 5 sections according to our 5 specializations, then the sub editors must be from each area of specialization. This is just a simple example that I'm giving you. But editors, when we kind of rejected some on this basis, then you won't believe they came up with 40 editors. And 40 editors, then they say, we'll publish your journal in 15 days. You send this much of money and all that, everything goes against. So in 15 days, how these 40 editors are going to work and all that, I mean, it is just for the sake of giving list they were giving. So many journals sent list of 40, 50 editors. So again, that logically it doesn't, we don't accept it, and we just put it aside, because we also understand that they do it for the sake of doing it. It doesn't add to the quality of the content or journal. Then peer review process. Some journals are doing very seriously peer review, but some are doing for the sake of it. And some journals, ask the author only to get it peer reviewed and get the comments and send it. So that all those things, go against. Then editors, we have also in relation to editors, we found that, some, for example, if it is, say, Lucknow, then one journal is being published from Lucknow, then 6, 7, 8 editors, all from Lucknow, same university or just 2 universities and all. So, it is not written in a protocol, but it is understood that the quality is being compromised. So you must have a good team of editors that gives a status and standard to the journal. Then indexing citations. Some journals have very good citations, some authors also have, but sometimes the journals put their indexes on the first or second page. Some just do not show. Then you have to find out from Web of Science and all those sources. Then charges and fees related financial matters, etc. These days, they are charging like 5,000, 6,000, some are charging 3,000 rupees for a publication. So that UGC has put as a negative character of the journal. So that goes as a negative point, and these journals, we are not able to give a score for that. It goes in minus. So charges, so they take you 5,000, they're making money, and they are promising you that they'll publish in 10 days or within a month and all that. So it looks more like a business rather than an academic journal publication. One person was there. There are so many we have come across in this process. I'll tell you one person from one big city. He's publishing 6 journals. He's looking for a job and all, but these 6 journals and everything process, peer reviewing is done by the author only, and the reports are sent to him. And within 15 days, your article is published. So this is more of a big business rather than a concern for the improvement of academic standards and quality. The other person we found that, one retired from the armed forces, and he was, the publisher for something like 5 or 6 journals. So when we were looking into trying to find out the details and all, so, the journal, for example, I am in charge of social sciences, humanities, fine arts, social work, home science, arts, etc. These are my areas. So now we found that this person's journal, they came into this humanities also, in social work also, in science also, in technology. So we 6 people are given different, areas. We are assigned different areas of specialization, and everyone found journal from that publisher in their list. So when we were discussing, we found that it's just for business sake that the person has taken up. He has no academic background. He has absolutely not published anything himself, but he has taken up this as a business. So we kind of, not, we did not recommend any of his journals. I'm just sharing these examples to you because, in future when you are selecting the journal, you must go into, the reliable data sources and find out how much reliable is the whole team of these publishers or editors and all, because we find that ISSN numbers and all, yeah, I mean, it is hard to believe for you all, but we found up to 5, 6 ISSN numbers for one journal. Now, how do we believe? Which one we should consider? Impact factor also, 3, 4, 5 impact factors we'll find for one journal. Some claim that this is our impact factor, and on web, when you check, the whole information is wrong. So these are the things, which, the person who is applying for the recognition of journal must look into. But those who want to publish in good journal also must look into all these aspects. So this information may be obtained from public domain like websites, emails, flyers, advertisements, hard copies of journals. We are 6 men in the core committee, but we have one. Each one of us has a task force committee. So whenever the computer center receives all applications, they are segregated by the person in charge and then sent to the task force. The task force which is assisting me will receive, the they will divide and give them the journals. Now, poor thing, this task force has to do so much of work. They have to check on the web each and every information that is given in the application. And so many times it is a very, very tedious exercise because you just don't find, or you find something very different than what they have mentioned. So the decision making becomes very, very difficult as to whether we should recommend or not recommend. So there are so many sources that we look into. And finally, sometimes we have to ask for the hard copy of the journal to actually look into the quality and type of articles, because the information that they have put and the information on the web differs. Now, the journal may be disqualified at any stage if found to be giving false, misleading, incorrect, insufficient information, or unsubstantiated claims. Now, suppose by mistake we have approved, then also at any stage the journal can be disqualified if this kind of things are found in relation to journals, that they have provided wrong information, misleading information, incorrect or insufficient information, any stage later on also, then the journal will be disqualified. Then the journal scoring more than 6. Now, as I told you that we evaluate the journal on 10 points, will be qualified. I mean, the one which gets at least 6 out of 10 will be qualified for an inclusion in care list at our level. Like, for example, there are many journals that at our level we have recommended, but at Pune they have not recommended. I'll give you some 2-3 examples. You all know that in languages and literature and all, you don't have the high impact factor journals or research journals. They are more like magazines because they write creative articles and all. So these literature people consider it as academic article, and the evaluators say that this is not a research journal. So they are at a disadvantage. This, especially this fine arts, literature, languages, they have a problem. So at our level, we were little liberal in recommending them, but finally they were, excluded from the list, from the recommendation list at Pune level. So there were so many which were not approved at by the Pune University team committee. So just getting 6 out of 10, it is a very quantitative criteria. But as I told you, there are other things also that we look into, how reputed it is and all that. For example, in Gujarati, this Navneet, for example, the professors and all told us, because we have to find out, it's not that we just decide everything. If I'm not a language person, I consult the professor in the language department for that journal. And, everybody impressed upon us that this is the academic also, and we have been publishing this, and in this, we call it magazine only, but they call it journal. So there was a lot of discussion on that. And finally, from here we recommended, but from Pune, it was not included in the list. So this kind of things also happen. But as I told you that later on UGC will take up the books and non-research journals, etc. I think that time these kind of journals will get inclusion in the care list. Okay, so, but supposing the journal gets a 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, but it does not score on an important criteria of editors. Their biodata is not there. An editor is supposed to put their last 10 years publication, at least 5, with the web sources and all that. So many are not able to do that, and we cannot put them in the list. So editors information is also very important. So even if a person, I mean the journal is scoring 7, 8, but it's not scoring on this particular important criteria, then we do not recommend. Then the journals scoring between 4 and 5 are kept under observation for 3 years as emerging list. which may be subsequently included in the care list as and when the quality as per they qualify as per protocol. Now, for example, our home science journal, first time when we recommended it, it was not approved at Pune, but second time with full information about the section editors and their biodata, editors biodata and everything when we submitted, they qualified for according to protocol, and you all know that now it is our home science journal is in the care list. So protocol has to be satisfied by the journal within 1 year, or at least after 1 year they can apply again. Those journals which are not put first time, I mean in the care list, they are not approved by UGC or at Pune, they can apply after 1 year only. They cannot just next month you cannot apply. So you have to have 1 year gap. In that you have to look at the criteria and qualify according to protocol. So this we have submitted the care list in 19, and then after several lists we have sent. Just last week only I have evaluated a big, so many journals. So it is a continuous process, and which will kind of, it keeps replacing the existing UGC approved list of journals. Then, as I said, it is a continuous process. Care list will be dynamic, where addition, deletion of journals will happen on a continuous basis. So decision of care EC shall be treated as final at UGC level. So there are 3 tier, it's a 3-tier system. Actually, we expected 4th tier, but we find that IQAC cells, when they are sending, they are not doing any scrutiny. Actually, we had expected them, we had trained them to do that, but whatever may be their reasons at university level, nobody is doing scrutiny at their level. So everything comes to us. So that becomes a 1st year, and then Pune 2nd, and then UGC 3rd tier. So it's a 3-tier process. So this was just a timeline that was decided, and this goes on like this only. So first, the list is suggested of credible journals in their respective disciplines and regions by care members and care universities. Okay. Then pooled lists from care members and analysis by UGC cell is done for journal analysis. Then care reference list of quality journals is prepared, and then the list is updated. Now, process for adding new journals. So new journals may be added to care list only in the following manner. So journals from social sciences, humanities, languages, arts, culture, Indian knowledge system, etc., recommended by statutory council, government bodies in respective disciplines. This is one group which will be directly added to the care list. It was decided earlier. Then proposals for inclusion of new journals submitted by regional universities, that's care universities. Then these are the care members. UGC cell for journal analysis at Savitribai Phule University. Then, as I told you, this 4 zones, and there are council members. And then finally there is a care EC, and they finalize the care list of quality journals. So group A, care list, what it will include? Research journals in discipline under all these science, engineering, technology, in agriculture, biomedical sciences, which are indexed in Scopus or Web of Science. No analysis will be done by the UGC cell for journals in this group. Now, actually, this was the directive at the first glance. But what happened somewhere in between, we were told that if any application comes, which is also indexed in Scopus, we must evaluate. So later on, the evaluation of the journals from these groups also started. So Group B is journals qualified after analysis as per the protocol from existing UGC list. So first it was decided that whichever journals are already there in UGC list will be directly shifted to CARE list. But again, as I told you for Group A, for Group B also, we were instructed to again evaluate these applications, even if they are already there in the UGC list. So some of the colleagues and friends have asked me that so-and-so journal was there in UGC list, why it is not there in CARE list? So it is because of this reason, that according to CARE protocol, that journal which was already there in the UGC list was not qualifying. Okay, so Group C. Now, journals from social sciences, humanities, languages, and Indian knowledge systems recommended by CARE members, which are qualified as per the protocol. So, some these CARE members, when they send some journal for the for list, I mean, their applications, then we do go according to protocols. And new journals submitted by CARE universities which are qualified as per the protocol. All this then go into the CARE list. So these are major 4 groups. So first 2 groups, earlier we were not supposed to evaluate, but halfway then the instruction came, directive came from UGC that we must evaluate these journals also as per the protocol, and that is how some journals which were already there in UGC list were excluded from the CARE list. So now this information as to what do we do in the basic primary and secondary criteria, information and criteria. Now for print journals, CARE centers should provide scanned copies of pages of journal mentioning publishers, editors, reviewers information. So this is for especially those IQAC coordinators who will forward these journals applications. They must keep this in mind. These days we find many journals have both versions, print and web version. But when you start looking for the web version, you find it nowhere. And it's only print that finally comes out of it. So these kind of journals, that's why we expect the IQAC cells to scrutinize so that we have less trouble in finalizing, especially we will not have the direct access to the source to check whether this is correct or not. So it takes a lot of time for us to confirm. So if the IQAC cell does this, it is really it will be a real great help in preparing the CARE list. So print journals, if they are applying, then they must give the hard copies of it, and if especially if they do not have the web version. But actually, as a quality indicator, we do expect that all the journals have their website and they put all the whole journal, which even if it comes out in print, must be on the website also. So in basic information, journal title, I'm sorry to share, but some applications do not have a proper written title, properly written title of the journal also. So, sometimes you find something missing in the title or something vague, and then we have to check on the web. So, these are our problems. So journal, board, discipline and focus subjects. So actually these are all in the format. So it is not that difficult to fill up. You can go, point wise, and whatever is asked, you just, provide that information. It's not that difficult. The name of publisher. Now what happens here, sometimes, these people write the name of the editor only. So publisher is different, editor is different, and people instead of publisher give the name of the editor. Then country of origin and registered address. So country of origin, especially, uh, for those who are recommending the journals from abroad. See, there are many subjects in which they have some standard, highly reputed journals from the other countries, and they want them to be in the care list. So they have to provide all the information. Then journal language. See, as I told you, some are multilingual or some are bilingual. Then all that information must be provided. Then publishing frequency. It is monthly or quarterly or half yearly, yearly, whatever. Editorial of, but here also I would like to bring to your notice that they say we publish monthly, and when you look into their website, there is no publication for months together. So this checking and confirming, and verification of information is a big headache for these care committees. Then editorial office address, phone, email, and website. So many universities, as I told you, that you have some 4-5 people from one department. The office is also in the department. The editors, everybody is from that department only. That reflects in the quality, on the quality of the journal. But this editorial office address, everything is from that department. Which kind of goes sometimes negative. Then current status, print, online, both ISSN and EISSN number, because you will have ISSN number and EISSN number for the online journals, and other registrations such as RNI and all numbers. If you have, then that also must be mentioned when you want a particular journal to be recommended. Now these are the important points, and I must tell you that we go by this process. Now the first point is ISSN number and EISSN number. Are these numbers correct? We check that. We verify. We check through NISCARE, Ulrich, and other directories, and we try to find out. But as I told you, this becomes very challenging as we find 4 or 5 types of ISSN number for one journal. So that becomes very difficult to verify. Now in that, if it is yes, then we have to process further. And if it is no, then also we go to the next point. The second point is the journal falsely claims to have an impact factor or uses dubious made up measures. Friends, this has been found very, very often with so many journals, that impact factor is wrongly mentioned, and nowhere else you find that impact factor. Or sometimes you find, if you have a kind of 4 or 5 hard copies, we found a different impact factor on that also. So it becomes so difficult to finally decide whether to recommend or not. So if it is falsely claimed, yes, then we have to stop. But if it is no, then we process further. Then the journal claims that it is indexed in a credible database, and this claim is verified. So if the claim is correct, then we process further. If it is no, then we stop and we do not process further. So Web of Science, Scopus, etc., when they claim that they are indexed there, then but if it is correct, we process it further. Then the next point is the journal provides full postal and email address. This is also very surprising. that so many applications did not have complete address also, did not have, had not mentioned pin code numbers. So it becomes so difficult to go back and forth to check and complete it and further. And sometimes, we just send it back. Now you complete it and send it, because it becomes too much of work for our task force. So at least, so editors address, editorial boards, members address, phone numbers, and their email addresses, everything has to be there in the journal. So if it is yes, then we process further. If it is no, then we have to stop. Then this, I was telling you that this is very important point. So even if one has scored more than 6 points on other points, but if 0 on this, then we stop. So publications of chief editor, section editors, for sciences, technology, engineering, medicine, agriculture, at least 4 research publications in standard journals indexed in Scopus Web of Science during last 10 years. So this is must. And so many hundreds of applications did not have this information. But yes, after 1 year, when they applied it again, they had completed many of them. But still, I find so many without this information, and we just cannot recommend it. We cannot process it further. For humanities, social sciences, and languages, and Indian knowledge systems, at least 4 research publications, creative contributions, writings in care journals published during last 10 years. So there is little liberal, provision for the humanities and social sciences. So the journal publisher assures, claims that a submitted article can be accepted, published within a short duration. Then if it is yes, then we stop. It goes negative. If it is no, then we process further. Then appropriate presence of section editors from different specialties in case of multidisciplinary journal. Now these days, kind of the trend is that the journal is multidisciplinary. So many have multidisciplinary journals, and they mention their mission in that and all those things. But if you have 10 disciplines included in the journal, then you must have at least 10 section editors who are experts of the respective disciplines. If you do not have that, then who is kind of judging the quality of the articles, who is editing it, what one would understand from those research articles? All these questions arise, and they directly are related to the quality. Then journal archives of all years of publishing is available on website, standard database, and libraries. This again has been a big problem, and many we have not been able to locate the archives on website and all, because I don't know whether they do not upload or they give a wrong information, and it becomes a challenge for us to verify and find out how much truth is there. Or um, so many, most of the journals we have found that, especially in humanities, because I'm dealing with that aspect, social sciences and humanities, I find, and many, this claim that they have online publication of the journal, but they do not have the journal archives. So it becomes very difficult. So if it is yes, then we process further. But if it is no, then we investigate the reason and process further. Because it should not be that for some technical reasons that the archive is not available. Because that's why we said that we investigate the reasons and process. Then peer reviewers' data is published as acknowledgement, or the journal appears in database like Publon. So if it is yes, then we process further. But if it is no, then again we investigate and process further. So, so many times, these are, I mean, very rarely the journals have, applicants have given the reasons. If something is not there, then we do look into that, because as I told you that from the beginning with humanities, social sciences and other related disciplines, some the attitude has been little liberal in recommending the journals. And after as I told you, in the first list, more than 3,000 journals were rejected by Pune University. But after that, very soon we had a meeting and one training program where the Pune team was also here. And we discussed this problem and they understood it also. And then they said that you ask all of them to apply again and we'll look into this issue. And I think after we sent second time, many of them got, processed further and they were in the care list. Like, for example, our own journal. Okay. So these are the some of the criteria that we follow, but you teachers also can look into this when they are publishing, and especially high quality research journals. When you are publishing, you should not select less reputed journal. Give recognition to your work also by publishing it in a high standard journal. Now, role of university. What is the role of university? So, as I told you, that no publisher can directly recommend any journal to the KR University. So this happened in the earlier stage, and publishers will call, they will call the university and say, we want to apply for this journal and all. And interestingly, before this, our committee started working in the West Zone, you won't believe some publishers had already, upgraded and revised their websites and information on website and editors data and everything. They thought that they want to apply, so let us complete the information so that no rejection comes. But finally we said we are not here for the business or to promote somebody's business. We are here for academic reasons. UGC also is doing for academic standards only, ethics and all. So this was the channel that was decided, that the publisher cannot recommend directly any journal to the KARE University. The journals can be recommended only by teachers of university and institute. The journals must be routed through the IQAC cell of the university. It is expected that IQAC cell has done primary scrutiny. See, this is what I told you. But I'm sorry to share that none of them are doing it. Because we have trained them, we have given them all these criteria, how to score, everything. We have trained these IQAC coordinators from all the colleges and universities in West Zone. But they may have their own reasons for not doing scrutiny. And then recommendation has been sent to the KARE University. The teachers of the affiliated colleges or institutes should contact IQAC cell of their parent university. So when you are recommending new journals, it should be routed through universities and colleges as follows. Universities, IQAC cell to respective regional KARE university, they send directly when it is a university IQAC. But when there are affiliated colleges, like SNDT has many affiliated colleges, college IQAC cell to parent university's IQAC cell, and then parent university IQAC cell will forward to respective regional KARE university. So this is the process, and this everything is being done online. So there is not much of work for the IQAC cell. You are because you are not doing any scrutiny, you are just forwarding it, so it's not much of work, but to us it comes through a proper channel. So this was our training program slides. Now